Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Dimitri's Desk. This is episode 25. And sorry, guys, this episode I did not do live because I'm traveling right now. I'm with my family. I was spending Thanksgiving with them in New Jersey. And again, I ran into some issues with technology like last time, where OBS is basically giving me trouble. And I decided to record this episode instead of doing it live. But I'll be coming back to Pittsburgh next week, so everything is gonna go back to normal, and I'm gonna start doing these things live again. So just to kick this off, guys, really quick, some housekeeping stuff. Everything I say is my opinion. Nothing is financial advice. Do your own research. I'm not here to give you advice on anything. This is just my opinion and for informational purposes only. Now, also, this is my Twitter handle. If you guys want to smash that follow button and follow me on Twitter, you can go ahead and do so. I tweet out things about the market as I see them develop throughout the week. Looks like, this past week we didn't really have that much happening, and we're going to discuss that in a minute in terms of price action and see where things are and where we might be heading. So welcome, everybody, and let's kick things off with just looking at the market really quick. So looks like right now it's a mixed day. We see BTC is up just a tiny bit. Everything else kind of in red. We have EOS up 1%. Binance coin is up. Great. Looks like overall kind of a mixed day. It looks like Maker is having a bad day, but we've kind of we were kind of expecting something like this to happen with what's going on fundamentally with Maker. BAT is up 4%. Great. Things are kind of mixed. Raven coin is up almost 15%. That's very interesting. So yeah, looks like overall kind of a mixed day we have today. And let's hop into BTC charts. So since last time we've talked about this channel that everybody's been observing, everybody's been talking about it. Let me take care of these moving averages really quick. We've had a lot of this kind of a choppy market condition recently, where we not really making significant moves. We're chopping in the range or whatnot, and you can kind of tell why it's happening because we can see the funding rate that I've been talking about on previous episodes has been kind of flip-flopping here too. So you can see things are kind of developing in the futures market where the direction hasn't been really decided for BTC. Since last time I talked to you guys about this specific Fibonacci level that I have outlined here, it's basically a yearly Fibonacci that I have outlined here. We have the 6.5 and 6.18. We have that golden pocket that I talked about many times now, and I told you guys if we're gonna break out of this golden pocket, then we'll see some 7,800s soon, and looks like we did climb to that as well. So for those guys that end up picking up an entry order on this test that we had on 618 fib around 7,400, if you ended up picking up a trade here to the upside all the way to 7,800, you picked up quite a bit of percentage points. But it looks like I told you guys we're going to hit that resistance. It might be a short-lived pump. And actually, a lot of people I noticed they were talking about the specific head and shoulders formation that we had here, which is the inverse head and shoulders. We have two shoulders, one here, and then we have the head. And then we have the neckline that actually broke, and the neckline was actually in that 618 that I've been talking about. But I was very concerned with this formation because everybody was basically saying that, hey, this is it, reverse head and shoulders, we're going to pump from here. But you have to be very careful because we know from the past we had regular head and shoulders like here, where we had two shoulders and a head here, and we broke down. But that was short-lived to the downside. After that, we actually, went up all the way up to 10.5K. So if you ended up, shorting on this head and shoulders break on a neckline, you could have picked up some percentage points. But if you kept your position open, you would find yourself upside down on the position very quickly. So it's very important to keep that in mind as we see these patterns develop. As we see these patterns develop, like head and shoulders, reverse head and shoulders here. And as of right now, you can see we're just really moving in a sideways direction, ping between these two levels of 7.2, and we're having a hard time really breaking that 618 back up. Looks like we had multiple closes where we challenged that level, but we continue to close below that level, and everybody's basically watching that 7,400 for a solid close to indicate a potential bottom that's going to be a higher bottom than we've seen in the past, like around here of 7K, which would indicate essentially a channel that would look like something like this, right? So this is what everyone is kind of hoping for, something like this. If we do, put in that higher bottom, but until that's in place, we can't really say that that's going to be a higher bottom, because 618 is offering a lot of resistance right now for BTC USD. As you can see, actually yesterday, we tried to close above that. We couldn't close above that on a daily. It was the day before that, it actually was playing as support, but now it's playing as resistance, and we're going to have to see how this candle closes. Is it going to be rejected one more time by this 618? And if that continues to happen, eventually one side is going to take directional move, which is looking like right now to the downside if things continue to play out the way they are. It looks like the funding rate is slightly positive. And guys, I would really recommend you guys to look into the funding rate, because it's such an important thing in the futures market. And we do trade, this futures product, the perpetual inverse swap contract that we have on BitMEX and Bybit. So the funding rate can really affect kind of the price action, because you can see if the market is in what's called contango or backwardation, you can see that if the short positions are incentivized to take short positioning, or if the long positioning are getting incentivized to put on position to the upside. Looks like right now longs are not incentivized based on the rate, because the rate is positive. So if you're long, you basically hold your position and you're going to be charged that funding rate as you hold it. Meanwhile, the short positions are actually incentivized, and they do get that funding rate if they get short. If the funding rate is positive, if the funding rate is negative, then it's essentially the reverse of it. So I really recommend you guys look into the funding rate, backwardation, and contango, and how that interacts with the spot market, and how this can affect the pricing that we've seen in the past, where we see such a contango where the rate is so positive, because a lot of people are long, and shorters are coming in aggressively to take those incentives and push the price lower. And it looks like right now it doesn't show anything significant in terms of having a big positive rate for funding. So we have to wait. And again, it's kind of that stale moment where the next directional move is trying to be decided as we're trading within this range and getting rejected by the resistance, and bulls are going to be trying to penetrate that and get solid closes above to signify an upward move, or if they're going to get exhausted and we're going to continue to move lower for BTC USD. So it's kind of we're in this very important moment again that I mentioned, that that doesn't really signify conviction on we're in the middle of this channel. We really have to wait and see how the price action develops and react to that. Some people obviously can front run this and set their stops above 7,400 to play the short side, and then those that are trying to play the long, they'll play against the support that we've been seeing here, which is the 7K level, if you're trying to play for the upside to go back to 8K. But the way things look right now, it looks like, the shorts might be favored here. But again, you have to be very careful and have to watch the price action before putting on those positions. As far as the RSI goes, we did come out of that oversold area that I've been talking about, which was actually nicely paired up with the head and shoulders, the golden pocket that I've already talked about. And looks like we're flattening right now and hitting resistance at 43. So if RSI continues to move lower, then that essentially reinforces the momentum to the downside for the price action on BTC USD. And in terms of positioning, so what we also like to do here is take a look and see how traders are positioned right now. See who's betting on the upside or the downside to see how those traders are playing while we're within this range and trying to decide the next move. So a place to go to is called, it's called coinfarm.online. I've been using this quite often on previous episodes. You guys know, you can take a look at the positioning of traders right now on platforms like BitMEX and see how skewed it is. Looks like we're almost at 70% long and 30% short, which is, again, guys, it's very important to look at this, because if the price action goes against the longs, then these guys that we see here that have open positions, they're going to be forced to liquidate their long positions, which means they're going to sell and add selling pressure to move the price action lower. So that's the significance of using this indicator, is because when you see a skewed positioning like this, you want to be very careful, because if once it's going to start breaking support, then liquidations are going to come in and the price might move lower quickly. So this is why actually we watch for price action to start confirming these breaks before we take on positions and essentially benefit from the price being pushed even lower once these liquidations take place. So this is definitely something to watch. This is something that, it's already getting into that area where, I will be concerned, where it's pretty skewed, because for some time I've been watching this and we've been kind of flat, right? So it's been almost like 50-50, right? People have really decided what position they want to take, and that's why we split kind of down the middle, and we've had this range. But now we have this range and at the resistance, and we have heavy longs that are betting on the long side. So they're floating their positions, and how long are they going to float these positions before they're liquidated and be forced out by the price continuing to move lower. So keep this in mind. All right, let's move right along to ETH USD. As last time as I was talking about it, actually, let me see if we can, Okay, so for ETH USD, I've talked about how we were at this Fibonacci level, which is, if you zoom out on a daily, it's 786 has been came in as a support. We bounced from that, and looks like we're now coming in at the level of 160. That is now the resistance, which used to be the support previously, as you can see by these candles right here. So now that's coming in as resistance, and we see that price action respecting that and moving lower. So, but it's going to be up to that level of 140 to break to warrant further downside for ETH USD. As of right now, that can, again, we can move sideways on this, and you don't want to get chopped up in this market as it just bounces between the two levels while you're expecting for a breakout, and you can't really decide on a direction that you want to take when it comes to trading. So you want to be very careful with that. RSI is not really showing anything significant there as far as the Ichimoku goes. We're not seeing anything significant there as well. Looks like we're trading within that. We were trading in that cloud for quite a bit. The red cloud that was the resistance. We have a green cloud developing right now on a 4-hour, which might provide that temporary support as we're approaching that 142 level of that Fibonacci that I've been talking about. So we might see sideways action on ETHUSD as well. It looks like right now, based on how the price action is working out, we're not getting any significant moves as of yet. I mentioned that the way you can look at this lower tops here. We get in, lower bottoms here. It's something like this, similar to kind of what we've been looking at on BTC. But as far as the bullish momentum goes, we still don't see that for ETH. We still have to respect the price action that we see on the charts as far as it goes, with lower tops and lower bottoms. But right now, the next significant level is that 142 Fibonacci that I have outlined here. Below that, we're going to start moving lower to 120s. RSI is not showing anything significant at the moment. So it's it's that sideways price action that we've been seeing here for ETH USD as it's trying to climb out of this mess that we moved all the way as low as 132 looks like. So right now it's we're respecting the resistance that it tried to challenge. So for the moment being, this is something that doesn't show me something significant that would warrant a specific trade. I would have to see how this continues to develop. If we do test this and we get maybe a potential flag formation where it would be like something like this, this is something that you could play on the short term. But until that develops, we can really just speculate about this. If it would be something like this, a lot of short positions might come in aggressively at 170. If we do continue this kind of channel formation, the 170 price will start coming in as that heavy resistance for ETH USD. But for now, it looks like it's a stale situation. Let's hop into EOS USD. Looks like a kind of similar setup as well. You can see I've talked about, oops, that's the wrong one. I've talked about these tops that we had that are lower, kind of similar price action as ETH, that channel breaking down lower. Looks like on a daily as well, we had 50-day moving average that was providing support. We broke that. We continued to move lower, and now we're kind of approaching that $3 mark as being the resistance, which is also that 50-day moving average for EOS. So be very careful there, because a lot of short positions might be coming in at these levels as EOS is trying to bounce again to recover from the last drop that we had here. So for the moment being, we've been actually below $5 for quite a bit. I've talked about the significance of that level. And then $2 is being that major support that I've talked about as well. So those are the major levels you want to watch on EOS USD. But based on just the price action itself, it looks like we're doing something similar as ETH. We're trying to bounce. It's interesting to see actually on a 4-hour, you can maybe spot like a reverse head and shoulders formation again. And that was short-lived. That sold off fairly quickly, and we'll see if the EOS is going to continue to do this. But the next mark that I'll be watching for resistance, if we do continue this channel, is going to be that $3 mark, where short sellers might come in and resistance is in play, or you'll have long positions that have been picking it up as it was trading below $3 in their rate to cash out on their position at $3, which will warrant the price to resist that and move lower. As far as the RSI goes, nothing too significant. It looks like we, unlike ETH, we're not moving as far sideways as we are on EOS. It looks like we are making some meaningful moves here, but again, given where the price action is, given the levels where they are, as I told you, $3 is going to be that big resistance, and then $2 being the support. Then, it might warrant a short position trade based on that risk reward ratio to wait until the price pops into here and see if the resistance is going to be in play to take on those positions. All right, let's move into IOST USD. So for IOST, I was talking about how we had this 0.5 as being that resistance. Now it became the support. It was a resistance again on this formation just recently, and now it's playing out as a support. We're watching the daily chart Looks like that's coming in as support. It's good to see for IOST to hold at 0.5, and looks like 0.6 is now coming in as resistance for the moment being. But it looks like we can most likely say we did put in a higher bottom on IOST USD around here. So we have this bottom here, and then we have one here. We have a higher top. What we need is a higher high, which is going to be above that 0.7 level. Well, as a matter of fact, I have it actually outlined by these dashes, which is going to be the next resistance point for it. So it'll be interesting to see if the RSI momentum is still continuing to move higher, which is good. We got, as close as we could to that oversold level, and then essentially continue to move higher. So you can see how different that is from the previous price action we saw in ETH and EOS, where IOST is actually shown some kind of a potential to the upside as far as the move goes, but we still have to respect the 0.7 as being that resistance level, and then 0.6 being that short-term resistance level, and then support being the 0.5. So as long as we're within this, we have to respect those levels and watch for any type of momentum for IOST to break. If it breaks support, then we're gonna test and see if we're gonna get a new bottom right below this one that we have here. That will be bearish essentially. So, but aside from that, it looks like IOST is still looking good. I'll be excited to see how it's going to tackle these resistance points that I've just outlined for you guys. All right. Let's take a look at BTC dominance versus total market cap. Excluding BTC, we continuously revert to this chart to take a look and see how the overall market's behaving against BTC. Looks like something interesting is happening with BTC dominance. We've been in this downward channel for some time, and looks like the total market cap, the alts basically, have been moving in the opposite direction as far as the BTC dominance goes. But it looks like now we flipped that. So now we have BTC dominance rising, and then the total market cap is falling for alts. And as you can see that, we broke out of this trend line here. We tested it, and it looks like we're kind of moving sideways right now. So we might be breaking out of this channel for BTC dominance, and the total market cap, it looks like things are not looking too good here, where we had that little bounce, but it's essentially showing inverse correlation with BTC dominance. So we're going to continue to monitor this. If BTC dominance continues to rise and the total market continues to fall, then we have that kind of a risk-off environment where people are re-rotating possibly out of alts into BTC to maybe preserve their capital, or they see a good entry as far as the risk-reward or investment goes with BTC rather than the alts that they're holding. And so that's about it. The last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the Commitment of Traders report. We just received recently a new one. 1126 looks like the positioning for dealers. This is the sell side futures positioning on CME. So these guys looks like last time I mentioned that they built out their long positioning a little bit higher than previous times. And looks like that is unchanged since the last time. So their long positioning is still bumped up from whatever it was on 1119. So nothing really significant here. They've been kind of holding that for quite some time. And I told you guys, if you plug in these dates actually to see when they were short, when they were extremely long, you'll see how that worked out on the chart. They were pretty actually good at it in seeing an opportunity in BTC and holding those positions on their books. But also you have to keep in mind that they can sustain quite a bit of drawdown, right? So they can wait and sit on a position longer than most likely a lot of traders, because they have short stops and risk management that doesn't allow them to float a lot of losses when it comes to leverage positions. So you have to just use this information and understand that these guys will build out positions and hold them for a prolonged period of time than most of the short-term traders. All right, so yeah, that's about it for today's episode, guys. Again, next week I'm gonna be doing this live again. Thanks for joining me on this episode. Smash that like, smash that subscribe, give me a comment. There's also a giveaway of $200 worth of BTC that's gonna be in the description of this video. Make sure you read all the rules to qualify for that. And yeah, give me your prediction for the end of the year for BTC. I'm interested to know what you guys think, how we're going to close the year for BTC. But other than that, that's about it. Happy trading.